Welcome to the channel Old Glory Coins. And today, we are diving into something that is going to absolutely shatter everything you thought you knew about the humble, everyday Lincoln Penny. Because what I am about to reveal could genuinely change your life if you are lucky enough to be holding one of these right now. Think about this for a second. You walk into a gas station, you grab a bottle of water, the cashier hands you back a few coins, and without even glancing at them, you toss them into your cup holder, your junk drawer, maybe even the bottom of a bag you never open. And just like that, without even knowing it, you might have just thrown away a coin worth $8 million. That's not a typo. That's not an exaggeration. That is the staggering, jaw-dropping, almost impossible to believe reality of the 1992 Lincoln Penny. One of the most extraordinary, most talked about, most desperately hunted coins in all of American numismatic history. And today we are going to uncover every single secret hiding inside this tiny copper miracle. But before we go any further, I want you to do something. Hit that like button right now. Make sure you're subscribed and stay with me until the very end of this video. Because not only are we talking about the 1992 Lincoln Penny today, we are also covering another Lincoln Penny from a different year that has collectors completely losing their minds. And the value on that next coin? Let's just say it makes even 8 million look like pocket change. So do not go anywhere. The 1992 Lincoln Penny. Let's start at the very beginning. The year is 1992. America is buzzing. The Cold War has just ended. The economy is shifting. Pop culture is exploding. And deep inside the Denver Mint, workers are cranking out billions, yes, billions, of 1-cent coins to feed the nation's commercial appetite. The Denver Mint in 1992 produced over 4 billion Lincoln Pennies, and the vast majority of them are worth exactly 1 cent today, nothing more, nothing less. But somewhere in that enormous production run, something went wrong, or depending on how you look at it, something went gloriously, magnificently right. A small number of 1992 pennies were struck using a close AM reverse die, a die that was never supposed to be used on business strike pennies at all. Now, here's where it gets technical, but stay with me because this is critical. On a standard Lincoln Penny, if you look very closely at the word America on the reverse side, the letters A and M have a noticeable space between them. That's the wide AM design, the one that was standard for business strike pennies during that era. But the close AM design, where those two letters are almost touching, was reserved for proof coins, special, mirror finish coins made exclusively for collectors. So when a close AM die accidentally made its way onto the production floor and was used to strike regular circulation pennies, something extraordinarily rare was born. The 1992 close AM Lincoln Penny is not just rare, it is a legendary mistake, a ghost in the machine, a numismatic accident that collectors would crawl over broken glass to own. And the numbers back this up in a way that will make your heart race, because experts believe that only a tiny handful of these coins exist in confirmed, certified condition, and when one surfaces at a major auction, the bidding war that erupts is something you have to see to believe. We are talking about a coin that, in top-tier grades, has commanded values approaching and potentially exceeding $8 million, making it one of the most valuable small-denomination coins ever struck by the United States Mint. Now let's talk about what you actually need to look for, because this is where it gets personal. This is where the treasure hunt becomes real. If you have a 1992 Lincoln Penny, the very first thing you want to do is flip it over to the reverse and find the word America. Get a magnifying glass, get a loupe, get whatever you need to see those tiny details, because that gap, or lack of gap, between the A and the M could be the difference between 1 cent and a life-changing fortune. On the wide AM version, which is the common one, you can clearly see daylight between those two letters. On the close AM version, the one worth millions, those letters are practically kissing, almost merged together, almost indistinguishable as separate characters. That is it. That is the detail. That microscopic typographic difference is the line between ordinary and extraordinary, between worthless and priceless. And here's what makes this so maddeningly exciting. Because this coin circulated, because it was never flagged at the mint, because nobody caught the error in time, these pennies went out into the world just like every other penny. They sat in cash registers, they rolled under car seats, they bounced around in coin jars for decades. Right now, at this very moment, There could be a 1992 close AM penny sitting in a jar of mixed coins in your grandmother's kitchen, in a box of old change in your childhood bedroom, in a collection you inherited from a relative who never knew what they actually had. The thought alone should make you want to sprint to the nearest coin jar and start searching. Now, let's talk about the grading and certification side of this, because when it comes to a coin worth potentially $8 million, condition is everything. The Professional Coin Grading Service, known as PCGS, and the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, known as NGC, are the two gold standard certification companies, and having your coin graded and slabbed by either of these organizations is absolutely essential before any serious buyer will consider it. A coin in MS 65 or higher, meaning mint state, essentially uncirculated, with full original luster and minimal contact marks, is going to command the absolute top of the market. Even circulated examples of the 1992 close AM penny, coins that have been handled, spent, and worn down by years of real-world use, are worth thousands upon thousands of dollars to the right collector. The rarity is so extreme that even an imperfect example is a treasure. And the auction stories. Oh, the auction stories are the stuff of legend. There are collectors who spent years, decades, searching through rolls of pennies, hunting coin shows, scouring estate sales, all hoping for a single glimpse of that close AM reverse. When one finally does surface, the numismatic community erupts. Online forums go wild. Dealers start making calls. And the price climbs and climbs and climbs until finally, the hammer comes down and another piece of American minting history finds its new home in a collector's vault. The emotional weight of finding a coin like this, truly finding it, pulling it out of an old jar or a change collection and realizing what it is something that coin hunters describe as almost spiritual. One collector reportedly discovered their example while going through a box of pennies their late father had saved over the years, and the coin had been sitting there, completely unrecognized, for over 20 years. 20 years of sitting in a box, worth millions. That story is not unique. That story is why every single coin hunter, every single treasure seeker, every single person who has ever watched a video like this one keeps searching, keeps believing, keeps checking every single penny that passes through their hands. And I want you to feel that same energy right now, because the 1992 Lincoln Penny is proof, absolute, undeniable, auction-verified proof that extraordinary wealth can hide in the most ordinary places. Before we move on, I want to give you a moment to really absorb what we just covered, because $8 million is not just a number. It represents freedom, security, a complete transformation of someone's financial reality, all from a coin that cost 1 cent to spend. And listen, I need you to stay right here, because what's coming next is going to hit even harder. The next Lincoln Penny we're covering today has a story that is even more dramatic, a rarity that is even more extreme, and a value that, I promise you, is going to make your jaw hit the floor. We are not done. We are just getting started. The best is absolutely yet to come, so do not touch that back button, do not close this tab. Stay right here with me, and let's keep going. Next, 1983 Lincoln Penny. And listen, if the 1992 just had your heart pounding, I need you to take a deep breath right now, because what we are about to uncover is going to take everything you just learned and blow it completely out of the water. $14 million. $14 million. That is the staggering, almost incomprehensible collector value attached to the 1983 Lincoln Penny. Not every 1983 penny, of course, but the specific, ultra-rare, extraordinarily elusive error variant that slipped through the Denver Mint's quality control and made its way into circulation decades ago, completely undetected, just waiting for the right pair of eyes to find it. And the most terrifying, most exciting, most absolutely mind-bending part of this story? These coins are out there, right now, in the world, possibly in your home, possibly in a jar on your counter, possibly in a coin roll you bought at the bank last week without even thinking about it. The year 1983 was a pivotal moment in American coinage history, and that is not an exaggeration. It is a fact that every serious numismatist knows and respects deeply. In 1982, the United States Mint made one of the most significant compositional changes in the history of the Lincoln cent. They switched the penny's composition from 95% copper to a zinc core with a thin copper plating, primarily to cut costs as copper prices skyrocketed. This transition created chaos, confusion, and, most importantly for collectors, errors. Because in the middle of a major composition change, with workers adjusting to new materials and new procedures and new dyes, mistakes happen. Beautiful, valuable mistakes. The 1983 Lincoln Penny sits at the absolute epicenter of this transitional chaos, and the specific error that makes certain examples worth $14 million is one of the most dramatic, most visually striking, most immediately recognizable errors in all of American coinage: the double die obverse. Now, a double die error occurs when the die used to strike a coin receives multiple impressions during the hubbing process, the process where the design is transferred from a hub onto the die, and those impressions are not perfectly aligned. The result is a coin where design elements appear doubled, almost like a blurry photograph, with two distinct outlines visible on letters, numbers, and design features. On the 1983 double die Lincoln Penny, this doubling is dramatic. We are not talking about a subtle, microscopic shift that only a professional can see under a high-powered microscope. We are talking about clear, bold, unmistakable doubling on the date, on the word liberty, on the phrase "I in God we trust," doubling so obvious that even a casual observer can see it with a basic magnifying glass. And that is what makes this coin so uniquely devastating to miss, because it is hiding in plain sight. When you look at the obverse, the front face, of a 1983 double die Lincoln Penny, the doubling practically screams at you. The numbers 1-9-8-3 appear to have shadows, ghost images of themselves slightly offset, creating that unmistakable doubled appearance. The letters of liberty show the same dramatic effect. In God we trust. The motto that has anchored American coinage for over a century appears as if it was printed twice on slightly different axes. It is one of the most visually striking errors ever to escape from a United States mint facility, and the fact that it made it into circulation at all is a testament to just how overwhelmed the quality control systems were during that turbulent transitional year of 1983. Now let's talk about why the value reaches $14 million, because that number demands explanation, and the explanation is rooted in one simple, brutal economic reality: supply and demand at its most extreme. The number of confirmed, certified examples of the 1983 double die Lincoln Penny in existence is vanishingly small. We are talking about a coin so rare that many dealers go their entire careers without ever personally handling one. When a high-grade example appears at auction, it is a genuine event in the numismatic world. It gets written about, talked about, debated, and ultimately, it gets bid on with a ferocity that drives the price to astronomical levels. In the highest certified grades, MS 65 red and above, meaning the coin retains its original brilliant copper-red luster with no significant wear or marks, the bidding war that erupts among the world's top collectors produces numbers that would make most people question their sanity. $14 million for a penny. A single cent. A coin that, if you found it in a parking lot, you might not even bother to pick up. But that is the intoxicating, addictive, life-altering magic of rare coin collecting. The knowledge that the mundane can be miraculous, that the common can be priceless, that the coin you nearly stepped over could be the one that changes everything. Let's talk about how to identify this coin, because that is why you are here, and I want to give you every tool possible to recognize one if it crosses your path. First, you need a magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe, ideally 5x to 10x magnification. Second, you need a 1983 Lincoln Penny. Note the D Mint mark below the date on the obverse, which confirms it was struck at the Denver Mint. Third, look at the date. Look hard. Are the numbers crisp and clean with a single, sharp outline? Or do you see a slight shadow, a ghosting, a secondary image of each digit lurking just behind or beside the primary? Now look at liberty. Same question. Now look at I in God we trust. If any of those elements show clear, visible doubling, not just a slight thickening of the letters, but actual distinct secondary images, you may be holding something extraordinary. The next step, and this is absolutely non-negotiable, is to get that coin to a professional grading service as quickly as humanly possible. Do not clean it. Do not polish it. Do not even breathe on it more than necessary. Place it in a soft coin flip. Handle it only by the edges, and submit it to PCGS or NGC for authentication and grading. Because if that coin comes back certified as a genuine 1983D double die obverse Lincoln penny in a high mint state grade, your life, and I mean your life, will never be the same. There are real stories, documented and verified, of people who found extraordinary coins in the most ordinary circumstances. A retired schoolteacher in Ohio who discovered a rare error cent while sorting through her late husband's coin collection. A teenager in Texas who pulled a key-date penny from a bankroll he bought on a whim. A construction worker in Arizona who noticed something unusual about a coin he received as change at a fast food restaurant. These stories are real. These moments happen, and they happen to ordinary people, not to professional numismatists, not to dealers with decades of experience, but to people who were simply paying attention at the right moment. That is what makes this hobby, this passion, this obsession worth every second of the search. And the 1983D Lincoln penny is perhaps the single greatest example of why you should never, ever take your pocket change for granted again. $14 million. The number echoes, doesn't it? It is not just a price tag. It is a statement about rarity, about history, about the extraordinary circumstances that aligned at the Denver Mint in 1983 to create something that the world was not supposed to have. A mistake that became a masterpiece. An error that became a legend. A penny that became a fortune. So here's what I want you to do right now. Go find every jar of old coins you own, every forgotten change collection, every forgotten penny roll, every dusty coin folder from your childhood or from a relative's estate. Check every 1983 penny you can find. Check the date for doubling. Check Liberty. Check I in God We Trust. Because somewhere out there, one of these coins is waiting to be found, and there is absolutely no reason, none, why it could not be found by you. This is the grand finale of today's video, and what a finale it is. 2 Lincoln pennies, both unassuming, both born in the United States Mint, both designed to be worth a single cent, and yet together, they represent the possibility of over $22 million in collector value. $22 million. Hidden in pennies. Hidden in plain sight. That is the magic, the miracle, and the madness of rare coin collecting. And that is exactly why we are here, on this channel, every single video, to remind you that extraordinary wealth does not always come in gold bars or stock certificates. Sometimes it comes in a copper coin, worn and quiet and patient, just waiting for the right person to look closely enough. Thank you for staying until the very end. You are exactly the kind of sharp, curious, treasure-hunting viewer that this channel was built for. Subscribe, hit that bell, share this video with someone who checks their coins, and we will see you in the next one. Stay curious, stay searching, and never stop looking, because the next great find, it might already be in your hands.